They forgot my birthday again, third year in a row. Not even a text. Then, about a week later, my dad emailed me a PDF invoice. No, hey, or hope you're doing well, just a bill for my brother's yacht birthday bash, $3,200. We were expected to split it evenly. I sent him a single dollar with a note that said, I'm not on board. After that, I locked them out of every streaming service and shut off the credit card they'd been using. That's when the panic set in. Suddenly, they're reporting fraud and the bank gives me a call. I just laughed. Told the rep that while my family couldn't remember to wish me a happy birthday, they sure had no problem logging into Netflix that night. That's when it hit me, this wasn't just forgetfulness. It was colder than that. My 28th birthday came and went and I wasn't expecting a big fuss. No cake, no candles, just a phone call, maybe a simple dinner invite. Something. But instead, radio silence. Not a peep from my parents. Nothing from my sister. Not even a lazy thumbs up in our family group chat. I didn't plan some big blowout. Just a small hang in my backyard. Charles, my cousin, brought over some ribs. A few friends came through with drinks. We played cards, had some music going. Honestly, it was chill. But I kept checking my phone like a fool, hoping someone in my family would say something. My mom usually texted eventually, even if it was hours late. But this year? Nothing. Charles looked around and asked, "Where's your family?" I shrugged and said, "Guess they had other plans." He gave me a look, the kind that says he knew it was deeper than that. I brushed it off. Later that night, I was scrolling through Instagram and bam, there they were. My mom, my sister, and my aunt all tagged at some vineyard up north. Wine tasting, spa day, the whole bit. Matching white robes, selfies with captions like quality time with my girls. Posted that afternoon. On my birthday. Together. Not a single word about me. I stared at that photo way longer than I want to admit. Not because it shocked me, honestly, I'd seen this coming. It was just the first time they didn't even try to hide it. Anytime they needed something, I showed up. My sister had trouble with her car insurance? I paid it. Dad's hours got cut and the phone bill was past due? I covered it. They were all logged into my streaming accounts, Netflix, Hulu, Prime, all of it. I even gave them access to a credit card in my name for emergencies. But turns out the real emergency was me realizing they didn't give a damn about me. That night, I made up my mind. No big speech, no dramatic goodbye. Just quiet, deliberate action. First thing I did was log into every streaming account and sign out all their devices. Changed every password, Netflix, HBO Max, Disney Plus, Spotify, Prime, gone. Then I checked the login history. Sure enough, they were all watching stuff that night, while I was in my yard, sipping lemonade with Charles, pretending I didn't notice my phone hadn't buzzed once. Next, I checked the credit card. My sister had used it for Postmates twice. My parents? They'd been buying groceries with it. That wasn't part of the deal. So I froze the card, called the company, shut it down, and paid off the balance myself. Was it pricey? Yeah. Was it the right call? Absolutely. By the next morning, the messages started rolling in. Sister, is Netflix down? Mom, your dad's card isn't working. Can you check? I ignored them. Then came the panic texts. Mom again. We're at the store, card keeps getting declined. What's happening? Not long after that, I got a fraud alert call from the bank. Someone had flagged unusual activity. They asked if I'd frozen the card. I said, yeah, I did. And no, it's not fraud, I'm just done funding people who only show up to take. The person on the other end went quiet. Didn't know what to say. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I had some control back. Not angry. Just done. They never saw me as a son or a brother, just a wallet that walked and talked. But I wasn't stopping there. Cutting them off financially was just step one. I wanted them to feel it, the slow unraveling of all the stuff they thought they were entitled to. If I ended it all at once, they'd learn nothing. No, this needed to be slow. Painful. Eye-opening. The real chaos started when their phones stopped working. That's when it all got real for them. Money? They could shrug that off. Missing my birthday? They'd justify it. But take away their phones, their access to the world? That shook them. I'd been the primary account holder for the family plan. 5 lines, all under my name. I logged in, removed every number but mine, and canceled the rest. Took me 15 minutes. Saved me money. Ruined their day. A little while later, my sister messaged me on Facebook using Wi-Fi from somewhere. No greeting. Just, you really cut off our phones? Are you out of your mind? Didn't reply. Just read it and close the app. That night, I got an email from my mom. An actual email like it was 2005. Subject line, urgent, call me. She said they couldn't reach anyone. Couldn't log into accounts. couldn't access services. And worst of all, they felt abandoned. Abandoned. The same people who went wine tasting without a second thought on my birthday now wanted me to feel bad for not footing their bills. That word stuck in my head. I thought about all the times I dropped plans to drive my mom to her appointments. How I'd fronted cash when Dad fell behind on insurance. How I let my sister crash on my couch after every breakup without ever making her feel like a burden. I gave them so much of myself and they treated it like it was nothing, just background noise. And now they had the nerve to say they were the ones abandoned? Later that night, my dad called again. This time, I picked up curious what he'd say. He didn't ask how I was. No apology, no, what's going on, are you okay? He just dove right in. What the hell's your problem, John? Why are you acting like this? I said, I'm not acting anymore. That's the point. He accused me of being dramatic, said if I had something to say, I should have just talked to them, not gone full scorched earth. And that's when it really settled in for me. They didn't think they'd done a damn thing wrong. To them, I was overreacting. I was being sensitive. Like skipping my birthday and treating me like a human debit card was just standard family behavior. Just part of the deal. They couldn't see it? Probably never would. So I leaned into it. I started making a list, everything I'd quietly been footing the bill for, food delivery logins, Uber credits, shared cloud storage, Amazon household perks, all those little comforts they used daily without ever wondering where they came from. One by one, I shut them down. Then came the real good punch for them. I kicked them off my Amazon Prime account. No more free shipping, no Prime Video, no deals. You'd think I'd pulled the fire alarm at a golf resort mid-brunch. That's when my phone lit up with a call from Uncle Thomas. One of the few family members I actually respect. Hardworking guy, no drama, tells it straight. When I saw his name pop up, I hesitated. But I picked up. He didn't yell. Didn't scold. Just said, heard there's a situation. Your mom's saying you've lost it. I asked him straight up, what do you think? He was quiet for a second. Then he said something that hit me harder than I expected. I think you finally drew a line they should have seen coming 10 years ago. That stopped me. I told him everything, the forgotten birthday, the vineyard trip, the fraud report, all of it. He listened without cutting me off. Then he said, just make sure you're doing this to wake them up, not to destroy them. I didn't respond right away. Because truthfully, I wasn't sure anymore. I wasn't looking for revenge. Not exactly. I wanted them to feel it. To really feel what it's like to be ignored until someone needs something from you. To be invisible for the good parts but essential for the dirty work. But the deeper I got into it, the more I wondered if this wasn't about making them understand. Maybe it was just me finally understanding something about myself. That next week? Quiet. Not peaceful, just still. Like that eerie calm before a storm rolls in. I figured they were regrouping, figuring out how to spin it. That's how they always operated, a little guilt, a little silence, and eventually a lukewarm apology just convincing enough to open my wallet back up. But I didn't bite. I didn't even blink. I just let them sit in it. Then one afternoon I heard a knock. It was my sister. I hadn't seen her face to face in months. She was standing there in leggings and a hoodie, no makeup, holding her dead phone in one hand and a half-melted Starbucks in the other, like she couldn't decide if she was here to fight or negotiate. She said, "Can we talk?" I didn't answer. Just opened the door, turned around, and walked back inside. She came in, looked around like she expected someone to pop out and take her side, then said, "So, are you done with your little moment? Ready to fix this?" That's the word she used, moment. Like I'd thrown a tantrum and now it was time to clean up my mess. I told her there was nothing to fix. Not this time. She rolled her eyes and said Mom was freaking out. Dad had to borrow a neighbor's phone to get in touch with his office. That they were stressed and confused and couldn't understand why I was nuking everything over one day. I just stared at her. One day. That's when it really hit me, the gap between how they saw all this and how I did was a canyon. I asked her, "Do you honestly think this is just about a birthday?" She didn't answer. Just kept talking like she didn't even hear the question, saying I blindsided everyone and cut them off without warning. So I laid it all out. Years of paying their bills. Letting them sponge off me, digitally, financially, emotionally. No thanks. No invitations. No acknowledgement. And the one day I asked for nothing, just wanted a little love, a little attention, they chose to leave me out. Not by accident. By design. She was quiet for a while. Then she said something that stuck. "Well, you never asked for anything. Like that made it okay." I said, "Yeah. That's what made it easier to forget me, right?" She didn't have a comeback. Just sat there in that heavy silence for a minute, then got up and left. No yelling. No big blow up. Just gone. But the silence she left behind felt different this time. Denser. Like it was finally sinking in. 2 days later, I got another email from my mom. This one wasn't frantic. It was calm, unnervingly calm. She said she was disappointed in how I chose to handle things. That I should have come to them like an adult. That cutting them off wasn't mature, it was selfish. Selfish. That word felt like acid. Coming from the woman who used my money to book a luxury weekend at a vineyard while pretending I didn't exist? She called me selfish? I didn't reply. But then it got worse. Turns out that spa trip they flaunted online? They'd paid for it using points from a credit card I'd added them to years ago. Points they racked up under my name. My account. Thousands spent on hotels and meals I didn't even know about until I checked the statement. So not only did they ignore me, they celebrated on my dime. And just like that, something inside me switched off. The sting? Gone. The anger? Dull now. It didn't even hurt anymore, it just went cold. I stopped needing them to see me. Stopped needing them to say sorry. I just wanted space. Quiet. Peace. So I called the credit card company and stripped them off every account. Then I filed a formal complaint for unauthorized use. Told them to investigate. The rep said it could escalate. I said, let it. I wasn't playing along anymore. I'd stepped off the field, but that didn't mean they were done trying to win the game. They started doing what people like them always do when they lose control, they worked the phones. Not to own up, not to make it right, but to twist the story into something that worked better for them. Within a week, I started getting random texts from cousins I hadn't heard from since high school. Messages like, hey man, not sure what's going on, but your mom's really upset. Maybe give her a call before this gets worse. Another one said, come on dude. We all screw up. She's still your mom. Still your mom. That one actually made me laugh. Not because it was funny, but because it was so far off the mark it felt like a bad punchline. I didn't bother correcting anyone. What would have been the point? They didn't know the whole picture. They hadn't seen the nights I sat up late helping my mom fill out forms because she'd wrecked her credit. They didn't know how many dinners I skipped to make sure a bill she forgot to pay didn't shut off their lights. All they saw now was the fallout, so they figured I had to be the bad guy because I was the one making noise. My mom knew what she was doing. She wasn't confused. She was hurt, maybe, but not because of what she did. She was hurt that I'd finally done something back. So she cried to the folks who didn't know better and let them run defense. Classic. Paint me as the ungrateful son so she could keep playing the martyr. But not everyone bought the act. Aunt Karen, my dad's sister, gave me a call. I've always liked her. She doesn't sugarcoat anything and doesn't do fake sympathy. She said, look, I've heard 10 versions of this mess and 9 of them sound like BS. What really happened? So I told her. Straight up. No fluff, no dramatics. The birthday, the card abuse, the way I'd been covering for them for years while getting nothing but silence and skipped invites in return. She didn't cut in once. Just listened. Then she goes, yeah, that tracks. I asked if I'd gone too far. She paused for a second, then said no. You're just the first one to stop pretending they're not selfish. That landed hard. Because that's exactly what it was pretending. Pretending we were close. Pretending I mattered in the same way I made them matter. Pretending they didn't treat me like a built-in convenience they never had to thank. Later that week, I got another call, this time from some woman my mom used to be friends with, someone I hadn't seen since I was a teenager. She said Mom was devastated. That she missed me. That she didn't know how to fix things and was scared I was gone for good. But here's the part that stuck with me. Through all of this, my mom still hadn't picked up the phone herself. She had sent people. Sent emails. Sent guilt. But never once called me and just said I messed up. I'm sorry. Because doing that would have meant admitting fault. And she couldn't do that. She never could. So she sat back and waited for me to fix it just like always. That's when I knew for sure nothing had changed. Not one bit. So I sat down and wrote what would be my final message. Not to argue. Not to spark a fight. Just to close the book. I wrote, I didn't cut you off because of one birthday. I cut you off because you've spent years showing me I only mattered when I was useful. You left me out of your lives and I finally believed you. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done. I sent it to my mom, dad, and sister. Then I blocked them all. I figured that would be the end of it. But people like them don't sit quietly when they lose control. They don't handle silence well, especially when they're used to pulling the strings. For about a week after that, everything went still. No random texts. No guilt-laced emails. No third-party messengers showing up on their behalf. Just silence. Then Charles showed up. He had a 6-pack in one hand and a bag of tacos in the other, like he knew I might slam the door in his face and came prepared to buy himself some time. We sat out on the porch. He didn't say anything for a while, just popped open a lemonade and handed me one. Finally, he said, "So, your mom's been calling around. Says she wants to make things right." I looked at him and asked, "Fix what, exactly?" He just shrugged. "She didn't say. Just kept saying things got out of hand and she misses you." So I asked the only question that mattered, did she actually admit to doing anything wrong? He took a sip and didn't answer right away. Then he said, "Nah, not really. Just that it all went too far and she wants you to come back around." Come back around. That phrase stuck with me the rest of the night. It wasn't "we want to make things right." It wasn't "we finally see how we let you down." It was "come back around." Like I was the one who wandered off. Like I had just lost my way, and if I'd come back, we could return to the same old routine, me covering the bills, me keeping quiet, them pretending none of this ever happens. They didn't want to fix it. They wanted it reset. I didn't say much to Charles. He already knew where I stood. He nodded like he expected it and left the tacos behind without a word. That night, though, I saw something that hit different. My sister had posted some long, dramatic story on Instagram, vague quotes about betrayal and being used by people who forget where they came from. No names, of course. But it didn't take a detective to know who she was aiming it at. Half the comments were mutual friends asking if she was okay. The other half were people cheering her on, saying things like, "You give so much, don't let people walk all over you." I laughed. Out loud. I'd spent 5 years silently bankrolling her streaming, her food delivery, her everything, and now she was out here playing the victim? 2 days later, I got an email from my mom. Subject line, "Let's fix this." I hovered over the trash icon but, for whatever reason, opened it. The message was short. "I never wanted it to come to this. I know I've made mistakes. But we're still your family. Come home. Let's talk. Let's fix this. We love you. We forgive you. We forgive you." Like I was the one who ditched her on her birthday. Like I'd been the one spending someone else's money, using someone else's account, living like they owed me something. Like I was the one who broke it all and just needed to be welcomed back into the fold. There was no "I'm sorry." No, we were wrong. Just a vague little olive branch wrapped in equal blame. A quiet expectation that I'd clean it all up again. They didn't want healing. They wanted convenience. So I didn't reply. I didn't just walk away, I finished the cleanup. One by one, I combed through every digital breadcrumb that linked me to them. Not just the accounts I was paying for, but the ones where I'd helped them sign up, where my name or email or address had been used to make their lives easier. Old apartment forms, the shared Costco account, that gym membership I completely forgot I'd helped open. Gone. I pulled myself out of their logistics like a surgeon removing a splinter. Quiet. Precise. Final. Then the letter came. Actual paper. Actual ink. 3 pages of my mom's shaky handwriting, stuffed into a wrinkled envelope like she'd rushed it out the door before she could rethink it. It opened with the greatest hits: "We love you. We miss you. You'll always be our son." Then came the non-apology: "I'm sorry if you felt excluded. That was never what we meant. If you felt like the issue wasn't what they did, but how I interpreted it. Like my reaction was the problem, not their choices." She moved on to money, said things were tight. Dad was behind on bills, my sister's job wasn't secure. "Just a little help," she wrote. "Just until they got through the rough patch. And then, like a cherry on top, we're ready to forgive you whenever you're ready to come home." That's when it became crystal clear they didn't want healing. They wanted convenience back. They wanted to press reset, skip the hard conversations, and return to the version of our relationship that worked for them. I folded the letter back up, slid it into the envelope, and dropped it in the trash without a second thought. The very next morning, I booked a move out of state. Not a weekend getaway, something real. A restart. I'd spent too many years revolving around them, shrinking myself, hoping they'd someday treat me like more than a utility. But that version of me was done. Let them rewrite the story if they need to. Let them say I disappeared, that I was cold, that I broke the family apart. I knew the truth. And deep down, I think they did too. I didn't leave in anger. I left because I couldn't carry it anymore. No big speech. No warning shot. I just packed my car, shut off my phone, and drove 16 hours until I didn't recognize the skyline behind me. I didn't tell anyone. Not Charles. Not work. Not until the very last minute. It wasn't some epic cross-country leap. Just a neighboring state. But emotionally, felt like another planet. No one there knew me. No one had expectations. No requests. No backdoor access to my bank account or streaming apps. I wasn't the backup plan anymore. I was just John. I found a job at a local tech shop, rented a modest apartment, started figuring out what life looked like when it wasn't built around other people's emergencies. I made my own meals, binge-watched shows I actually wanted to see, paid for what I used, no one else. At first, the quiet was unnerving, like I was waiting for the next demand to drop. But eventually, I realized the silence wasn't empty. It was peaceful. It was mine. 3 weeks after the move, an unfamiliar number lit up my phone. I let it ring out. Voicemail. It was my sister. Her voice was softer than I expected. No bite, no blame, just tired. She said, "I don't know if you'll even hear this. Mom cries almost every day. Dad keeps checking the mailbox. Just let us know you're okay." I listened. Twice. Then deleted it. They were hurting now, sure. But not once had they owned what they did. Not once had they said we were wrong. Everything was still about how hard it was for them. Their pain. Their confusion. Their sense of loss. Never the way they pushed me out and acted surprised when I stopped coming back. What they missed wasn't me. They missed the access. The help. The lifeline. A few days later, an email came in, this time from my dad. Just 2 lines. "You've made your choice, and I respect it. I was wrong. We all were. You didn't deserve how we treated you." I didn't delete it. Didn't respond either. Just let it sit in my inbox like a fossil. Something true but too late. And honestly, that's more than most people get. After that, the quiet became real. No more calls. No more passive guilt. Maybe they finally got it. Maybe they finally realized love isn't a subscription service. It takes effort, presence, respect, not just transactions. Eventually, Charles figured out where I'd gone. Showed up one weekend like he always does. Casually, with a lemonade in hand and no pressure behind his knock. I opened the door and he just smiled. "So this is what peace looks like, huh?" I let him in. We talked for hours. I told him everything, not out of anger but honesty. That I didn't hate them. I just couldn't go back. I'd outgrown the role they kept casting me in. He nodded, thoughtful, and then he said something I've never forgotten. "They keep saying they lost you, but they never had you. Not really. They just had access." That line sank deep, because it was true. They didn't lose a son or a brother. They lost the version of me who kept putting up with being treated like a tool instead of a person. And once he was gone, there was nothing left for them to hold on to. Every now and then, around the holidays, I'll get a card. No return address. Just a quiet thinking of you signed by my mom or dad. I never write back. But I don't throw them out either. They live in a drawer, not as a reminder of them, but as a marker of how far I've come. Because forgiveness doesn't mean going back to what broke you. Sometimes it just means learning how to move forward without dragging the wreckage behind you. I didn't burn the bridge. I just crossed it and never looked back.